Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Turn your volume up. This one is down really low.
What can be done to fix the streets of shame in LA? It's a question so many people keep asking. But one man with a drone says it's the city that's to blame for the encampments that keep popping up. And he's giving us this bird's eye view of the mess. NBC4's John Caddy's Climax is live in Lake Balboa Park. John.
It was a few weeks ago, Carolyn, where we brought you here. We showed you the line of shopping carts full of garbage over here. There's only one left here now. It was cleaned up the very next day. But it was partly that story that led a Tarzana man to wonder where those shopping carts came from. And he went to look beyond the fencing here to see what he could see, and now you get to see it too. It's just encampment after encampment. You can't see this from Balboa Boulevard, but the area is widespread near the park. It's encampments of 20 plus, 30 plus tents, chop shops for bikes. It's a little scary just to kind of even see from the air. It's their home, I guess, but it's not right. Johnny Perez shot this drone video and shared it in the hopes that, as he says, the squeaky wheel will get the grease. Get a group of people to get really angry and pissed off at your council members. We'll do something. We first spotted his work when he posted this video to Facebook last week. A sprawling encampment near the Northridge Mall that sits above the LA River. And down below, trash that teeters on a health hazard. I can see the trash from the air, but I don't know what's in there. I can only imagine it's whatever they produce, right? I mean, people use the restroom. I'm sure they're, drug use. That same Chatsworth wash connects with the river over by Brook Park, which is what the mayor was promoting for kayaking and stuff like that. It's the same river, man. I don't want to go kayaking. And here's a third location. This one just off the 405, north of Burbank Boulevard. Coincidentally, the NBC4I team has had its eye on this spot for more than a month, and the growing trash pile the city has yet to clean up. The regular people and the taxpayers are losing. Perez says it's the reason he started Dying California on social media platforms. From his vantage point, he says the solution is more simple than anyone is letting on. Just enforce the laws, enforce parking laws, enforce vehicle dwelling laws, enforce trash, littering, just irritate them. And eventually, they'll go somewhere else or they'll stop.
Hey guys, what up? I really wasn't planning on doing a video again quite this soon, but I saw something in my subscription this morning. A very harrowing and gripping piece from Vox. And then later in the day, I went to do a search for what's trending in the homeless community when I came across this bigoted asshole, Johnny Perez, Latino, Johnny Perez. Mr. Perez seems to believe that it is incumbent upon him to go ferreting out homeless encampments and then putting them on display for all the world to see. Now, as you guys know from my last episode, I did indeed call out the homeless community on their waste management. This is a twofold situation. I do believe that the city needs to provide dumpsters and porta potties, okay? Your homeless crisis is very real, very tangible, okay? We all gotta go, and we're all gonna produce garbage, okay? Okay. I truly do believe that it is incumbent upon the city to provide dumpsters and porta potties. If this is done, then all of the dreaded diseases that we're hearing about will be stymied quite a bit. As I know, it's hard hearing it. I'll link it down below. I highly encourage you to listen and to watch Johnny's face. I mean, something dark has truly got a hold of him. Allow me to show you what I'm talking about.
The hopes that, as he says, the squeaky wheel will get the grease. Get a group of people to get really angry and pissed off at your council members. Do something.
You see that?
We first spotted his work when he posted this. Council members. Do something. People to get really angry and pissed off at your council members.
Look at that.
The wheel will get the grease. Get a group of people to get really angry and pissed off.
Group of people, council members. Look at that. There. Look at that. Look at that shit-eating grin. Look at that shit. Let's see if we can get this thing to focus first. Get your focus. There we go. Come on. How does it go, Johnny? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah. They can get some council members and some people together. So, what you mean is an angry mob, right? An angry mob that goes looking with their pitchforks and torches for a disenfranchised demographic of people. Okay? And then he smiles when he thinks about the mass incarcerations. Yeah, you know, it's not right. I guess it's their home. I guess that's what they're calling it, their home. But it's not right. Yeah, you're beginning to feel, when you say it's not right, that's when you get that feeling of self-righteousness. That feeling of, I did everything right in life. They didn't. They're the fucking losers. I'm the winner. Loser, winner. Okay. So Johnny Perez, our Latino, with his shit-eating grin, thinks that he is the winner and we are the loser. With your shit-eating grin. Okay. How old would you say Johnny is there? It's probably like myself. Somewhere in his 40s, 30s, 40s. So, this next particular topic, it probably didn't touch him personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if his father or grandfather had to go through this horror. I warn you, this isn't pleasant to watch.
Everything we know about Carmelita Torres is from a few newspaper accounts in 1917. They called her an auburn-haired Amazon, just 17 years old. She led angry women in anti-American rioting and shut down the U.S.-Mexico border. But hidden within her story is something much bigger than a single riot. It's a story about American paranoia at the border, about a toxic campaign of disinfection and discrimination, and a U.S. practice that would go on to inspire Nazi scientists. But the border didn't always look like this.
Crossing this border used to be free and unrestricted. People would come and go without a passport. But after 1917, Juarez and El Paso became two separate communities.
It was a turbulent year at the border. The Mexican Revolution was ongoing, and the U.S. was about to enter World War I.
All of a sudden, you have the war hysteria created by World War I. People here in El Paso that are deadly afraid that the Germans are going to attack from Ciudad Juarez.
The fear of invasion brought tensions to the border, while across the U.S., a different movement was gaining strength. The eugenics movement, based on junk science, aimed to create a genetically and morally superior population. That meant stricter controls on immigration, only allowing those deemed fit to enter. On Ellis Island, one of the busiest ports of entry at the time, U.S. health officials were tasked with weeding out immigrants they thought were unfit or disease carriers. And across the country, that process coincided with the stereotyping of Mexicans as inferior and unclean. Dozens of film titles included the word greaser, a derogatory term used to describe Mexicans. This of Marilee's biggest fears was a disease called typhus, spread by lice. So, under the pretense of sanitary betterment work, he helped lead a campaign to inspect every house in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood. If the inspectors found lice, occupants were forced to take vinegar and kerosene baths, have their heads shaved, and clothing burned. Hundreds of homes were eventually destroyed. Lee also expanded the supposed health measures to include inmates in the El Paso jail.
They had to strip naked, take a bath inside a tub full of kerosene, and on one occasion, it seems somebody lit a match.
27 prisoners, majority Mexican or Mexican American, burned to death in the fire that the newspapers called the jail holocaust. But despite the tragic fire, Marilee pushed forward with even more aggressive plans.
He sends a telegram, a Western Union telegram, to Rupert Blue, who was the Surgeon General up in Washington, D.C. And basically, well, let me just read it. Hundreds dirty, lousy, destitute Mexicans arriving at El Paso daily will undoubtedly bring and spread typhus unless a quarantine is placed at once.
In this facility, every immigrant considered a second-class citizen had to strip naked. Their clothes were sent to a large steam dryer and then fumigated with toxic pesticides inside the gas room. An inspector would check each person's body, including private parts, for lice. If they found lice, immigrants would have to shave their head and body hair and bathe in a mix of kerosene and vinegar. Some even had their eyelids checked for things like pink eye, and many had to complete puzzles or simple IQ tests to prove that they were fit for entry. After this process, they'd receive a ticket as proof that they were disinfected. But
Well. A Mexican Hitler. Now there's something you don't see every day. Mexican Hitler. And, well, apparently Johnny Perez is vying to be the next Latino Hitler. As I said, my homeless community could definitely do much better with their waste management. They could do better if the city were to provide those dumpsters and those outhouses. Like I said, I don't put halos over my fellow homeless head. There has to be accountability. I mean, it's already enough that we're not going to judge you for the drug use, but it is true. It's not too much to ask. When you collect yourself to venture out again to score your next batch of drugs, just take some garbage with you, okay? Take the old syringes with you. Aren't you guys doing needle exchanges anyway? Anyway, Johnny Perez went looking for homeless that were not within line of sight. Johnny Perez giggles and laughs and smiles to himself, and then he incredulously goes on to say that if the police were to just simply ticket and arrest, that suddenly we'll just stop. They will stop. He's approaching this as if we are a gaggle of teenagers down on the street corner with a 1980s ghetto blaster disturbing the peace. All right, kids, you know, and the cop comes by. That's it. Break it up. Break it up. Go home. Go home. We have no home. You are dispatching the police to come and destroy our homes. Okay? But Johnny Perez feels that he is that he's worthy enough to sit in judgment, because after all, he wants a bunch of people to get together. I don't know, Johnny. Looks like a bunch of people got together and your ass wasn't almost born. Okay? Was your father fumigated? Grandfather? I mean, is anybody stupid enough to believe that that match that was lit just at the right time when people are taking a gasoline bath, forced to take a gasoline bath? I don't know, Johnny. Sick fucks like you probably get off on that shit, huh? Huh? I mean, I'm sitting here pointing out to you how your own heritage was discriminated against insidiously. But who knows? Maybe to a shit grin eating motherfucker like you, maybe you titillate in that. I don't know, Johnny. You're here pointing out to us how we homeless people should be rounded up and mass incarcerated. I don't know. Maybe you should too. Okay? Maybe you should be descended upon, abducted, thrown into a cell, a room, a cage, stripped naked, and forced to take a gasoline bath. Hopefully nobody will be smoking a cigarette. We hope. Fumigated. Like vermin. You know. Your president that you love so fucking much. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I bet you love that language, huh? I don't know, though. I mean, hey. We're talking about something that happened oh so long ago, right? I mean, it's not like they're talking about that sort of thing today. I mean, nobody's using that kind of language to talk about Latinos like you today. Right?
Decades after the disinfection campaign ended, the language, the strategy, and the dehumanizing politics of fear and exclusion still linger.
It's a health issue, too, because we don't know what people have coming in here.
They're coming in with diseases such as smallpox and leprosy and TB that are going to affect our people in the United States.
It's just a fact. You're going to see disease outbreak. Apprehensions in the El Paso area specifically have spiked more than 600%. They are essentially being warehoused, as many as 300 children in a cell.
Without adequate food, water, and sanitation.
The fumigations didn't stop after the riots. In 1917 alone, over 100,000 Mexicans were deloused at the border. That same year, an immigration law made border procedures even more rigid. Immigrants at all points of entry needed to have a passport, take a literacy test, and many would have to pay an $8 head tax. And later that year, the U.S. Public Health Service laid down instructions for border agents about who should be kept out of the country.
Imbeciles, idiots, feeble-minded persons, physical defectives, persons afflicted with loathsome or dangerous contagious diseases.
The discriminatory policies at the border resembled horrific events elsewhere in the world. In fact, while researching this, David stumbled upon a detail. The fumigation of Mexican immigrants wasn't just reminiscent of Nazi Germany, it was directly linked to it.
It's not so much that the United States was copying Nazi Germany, it's the opposite. Nazi Germany was copying the United States.
Feeble-minded idiots. I don't know, Mr. Perez. That description would seem to describe your president more than these people. Johnny Perez, I bet you're an absolute credit to your people. Total Control 871.